we have Mr. Joe Rose, President and CEO of NAMI Alameda South. He is the President and CEO of this chapter, of this affiliation. He has a 50-year-old daughter, a diagnosis of bipolar. He teaches NAMI family-to-family courses, and he is also a state trainer for family-to-family leaders. He has been implementing NAMI programs in organizations such as acute care psychiatric hospitals and schools. Now he has focused on implementing NAMI programs in our criminal justice systems here in Alameda County. Our second speaker is Ms. Lisa Heintz, Director, Clinical Reentry and Diversion Programs, Alameda County Probation. Ms. Heintz is the director of this program and has over 25 years of applied program experience specializing in local, state, and federal program design, implementation, and focusing on obtaining successful outcomes to support recovery and racial disparities. Her administration experience is focused on addiction policies, barriers to treatment for substance use disorders, correctional operations, adult probation, parole operations, mental health programs, court administrations, project management, and community-based program development. Third speaker is Chaunta Wells, Detox Specialist at Cherry Hills Detoxification Center and Rehab Counselor, running groups and drug screening at Second Chance Outpatient Centers. Today, she is currently 2 years, 9 months, and 18 days of continuous time clean and sober. Congratulations, as well as maintaining her mental health and enjoying life today due to NAMI involvement and large group of people that have been there for her through her process and journey of recovery. All right, so we're going to get started here, and I will hand it over. And I just want to say thank you to the three of you, Joe, Lisa, and Chaunta, and we'll get started. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you, Armando. And I just want to let you know that this whole workshop has been pre-recorded. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then after the pre-recorded workshop presentations, we'll entertain some questions in the Q&A section of that. So thank you, Armando. I'm going to share my screen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 NAMI conference. My name is Joe Rose. I'm President and CEO of NAMI Alameda County South. We're going to be doing a presentation during this workshop period on partnering with criminal justice to support those with a mental illness. Our presenters will be myself, Joe Rose, Chaunta Wells, and Lisa Heintz. I will start out by talking about how we brought NAMI programs to the probation department, in particular the peer-to-peer class. Then Chaunta Wells, who took the class and became a program leader, will talk about her experience with NAMI and the value that she got out of the programming. And then finally, Lisa Heintz will give an evaluation from probation's perspective. After the three presentations, we will open it up for a live Q&A period. So let's go ahead and get started with the first part of our presentation. So let me talk a little bit about NAMI Alameda County South strategic plan. At first, we were trying to get people with a mental illness to come to us for the peer-to-peer class, which is a class for people with a mental illness that helps them learn how to manage their illness better than what they were doing before. We found that difficult, identifying people and having them come in to us, and it was doable, but challenging. So we've been successful in other venues, and so we thought we would reach out to where people are. And in particular, when we reached out to the criminal justice system, we determined that a disproportionate number of people with a SMI, serious mental illness, are in the criminal justice system rather than in hospitals or receiving adequate outpatient treatment. As I mentioned, NAMI ACS is reaching out to hospitals, schools, and the criminal justice system, in particular Alameda County probation system. In reaching out, I contacted Chief Still, who was the chief of probation at the time, and we discussed the situation, and we decided to do the programming. We would, NAMI Alameda County South would absorb the costs up front, and if the probation department, in particular Chief Still, saw that there was adequate efficacy in our program, that we would talk about sustainability. The objectives that we were looking at was to provide access to peer-led programs and peer-to-peer, as I've been mentioning, to improve clients' overall social and emotional wellness. We wanted to reduce stigma between and among clients under community supervision and law enforcement. And we wanted to increase capacity to respond appropriately to individuals in the probation system that have experienced trauma and/or violence. Overcoming barriers, realizing it is extremely dangerous for clients suffering with mental illness to be afraid of their law enforcement partners. All stakeholders engaged to ensure we overcame those barriers. One of the barriers that we ran into early on was a number of people on probation felt uncomfortable going to a probation department facility to take the class. And we almost moved it to a more neutral place, a wellness center, but Chief Still indicated that no, she wanted everybody on probation to realize that probation was there to help them, not to penalize them. So we eventually got enough people that felt comfortable enough to come to the probation department for the classes. So that was a hurdle that we had to get over. We quickly learned that it takes a multi-team effort to provide security, support, and wraparound services for our mutual clients. And in the building, there was a clinician from behavioral health that was at the lower floor. We were on the second floor, which would be available if we needed to have them come there. And then since we were in a secure building, there was security as well. And then there was occasions when some homeless people needed some support, and that's where Lisa came in and provided some support through probation. So again, it took a team to work through this issue. With that said, the best way to understand the results of this program is to actually listen to somebody who went through the program, the way that they dealt with it up front, and what kind of confidence that they got as they went through the program, and how they are moving on today. So without further ado, I want to turn this over to Chaunta Wells.
Okay, well, first of all, it started off when I was younger. Everything, my family, alcohol is my drug of choice. And that's what helps me cope with things. So I had a lot of trauma when I was a kid. And then as I got older, my father passed away, and drinking was where I went to as far as knowing what's going on, dealing with my feelings. And for my understanding, as I started getting involved into the mental health part of me, that I've always been agoraphobic due to the past traumas and not knowing how to cope with them. And drinking just happened to be what I used to help me cope with it, which wasn't the best way to do it. But that I really didn't know if I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just knew something was wrong, and I was I couldn't control my emotions, like my reactions to certain people, places, and things, and really actually to everybody. And then about in 2011, after I had my son, it got worse. I was driving for AC Transit, and a guy that was on that I was gang raped when I was 15. So he ended up on my bus 2 days in a row, and it triggered something. It triggered my agoraphobia and PTSD really bad, and my anxiety, and I couldn't leave my house, you know. And when I did leave, I was always checking my rearview mirrors, on guard real bad, and I couldn't guard real bad, and I couldn't understand why I was having these feelings. And the feelings wasn't a new feeling. It was feelings that I had when I was younger. And I didn't know how to cope with it. And by me, even though I was sober at that point, not doing a program. I was not in NA. I did not have support for sobriety, you know, someone that was positive. And so I ended up homeless. You know, my kids, you know, I sent them to Arkansas, and my boys, and then my daughter, I sent her to my father's side, my cousins, and then my oldest daughter, she was 17, so she was already like pretty much on her own, you know. So she went to her friend's house, and she continued school, and I tried to be involved as much as I could, but everything just got really hectic. And then I started seeing going into John George. I even committed myself to Harriet's mental ward, and I was there for 3 days, and then I started going to jail. They gave me some pills, and they didn't really work for me, I guess. It was Depakote, and it just wasn't working. Plus I was drinking. And then that's how I got really caught up in the legal system, because I started drinking and driving, and I was trying to take meds, you know, and I blacked out, and I'm a blackout drinker. So, you know, yeah, so it got real bad, you know, and then I caught me a couple more DUI cases and everything. So I just stopped driving, and once I did that, everything was fine. You know, well, no, everything wasn't fine, but I didn't get into no more DUIs, you know, but I still continuously progressed into the legal system, and it was due to me being non-medicated and not knowing how to help myself with my, and by that time I knew something was actually wrong with me. I knew something was wrong, but I just didn't know how. And then the street where I was gang raped at, I couldn't go down that street. I still don't too much go down that street at all. I avoid it as much as I can, but it's a very big trigger for me as far as my anxiety and PTSD go. And it was just really difficult. So I ended up being homeless down there on San Pablo, and that's where I'm from. I'm from West Oakland. So my mom is around the corner. So it was just like even though I was homeless, I knew where I was at. And it was a familiar place, even though it was dangerous to be out there. It was familiar. You know, one day CalPEP had Lifelong there, and Lifelong is what I've been going to Lifelong way before I relapsed. I mean, like, I've been going there for over 20 years, but I couldn't get in. I couldn't walk into public buildings. It was very difficult for me. I don't know what it was about him, but I ran, and this was actually on by Berkeley BART station, and so I went home, and then finally, I started going to see a psychiatrist on my own, seeing a therapist, and then another incident happened on my bus where a guy got in my face, and so it was like the violence of other people would try anxiety and my panic attacks, and I fight my way out. So they had terminated me, but they wasn't supposed to, because I was under the care of AC Transit. And so I ended up getting my job back. But at that point, I couldn't take it, because it took me, I couldn't get on the bus. I couldn't do public places at all, period. And it took me 2 years just to get on the BART station. Actually, Joe, I think that's when I really started getting on the BART. And I was catching the bus because I was going to La Familia. But my doctor, he ended up finding the right regimen for me to help me with my anxiety. I have tears still. So I take medicine for that. And, you know, and I do my program. I'm in recovery. I'm in sober now 3 years this time. And life is better today. You know, I'm more at peace about everything. But what NAMI did is that NAMI helped me to understand mental health. Even though I'm dual diagnosed, and I went to a program that was behavior therapy, and so it got me introduced to how addiction and the mental health goes hand in hand. You know, if I don't take care of my mental health, I'm more susceptible to start to use again. Because my mental balance is off. When Joe came to La Familia and introduced that to me, La Familia was actually trying getting me to get in front of the class and facilitate the class and everything like that. And they were helping me. They were guiding me into being able to facilitate and be around people, you know, comfortably. And sometimes I still get a little nervous, but I'm actually doing a whole lot better. You know, I'm facilitating groups. I'm dealing with people that's just like me, that's struggling and don't understand and then I can also implement what I've learned from NAMI into my groups, even though I'm a rehab counselor. By me coming to NAMI and first as a classmate, as a student, and learning how mental health works and seeing how to coping skills. It gave me coping skills, learning how to deal with my mental health, even though it's a broad, we've talked about a broad mental health illnesses. They had key points in there that I can relate to, and it helped me. You know, I was scared when Joe asked me to be to facilitate the class, and he was like, "Chaunta, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be good." And I'm like, "I don't know about that. I don't know." And then La Familia, Nelson and Ronnie and them, they was like, "Chaunta, man, you do good, man. You got a good story. You know how to conduct yourself, you know, and get people to listen." And I was like, "Well, I don't know how I'm doing that, because I don't know what I'm saying, you know." And man, lo and behold, we facilitated that class. I got some of the clients that the classmates that were just like very antsy, I guess I want to say, where they couldn't sit still. I would talk to them. It was certain people in the class that would aggravate their mental health, and I can see that. You know, being with all of that, you know, NAMI has given me a great deal of confidence as far as being productive in society and doing something that I never thought you know, becoming a counselor and going back to school. You know, there's still certain things that I do privately. Like, I'm doing my courses online for to be a drug rehab counselor and a therapist. But as far as me being able to be social outside, I'm awesome, you know. And when I tell people that I'm agoraphobic, they be like, where, when, you know, because I talk now, you know. I'm not running away. I'm not with my back to the wall. I can actually sit in the middle of a restaurant at the table and not be at a booth with my back turned. Right. And I can be in a booth with my back turned now. You know, I'm more at peace with myself, and I understand who I am, what my issues are, and that they're treatable, you know. And I choose to treat mine with learning coping skills and recovery, as well as what I've learned from NAMI, you know. And Joe, I want to thank you for always being there and always thinking of me, you know. I will order NAMI, you know. I know I get a little busy or whatever, but you played a big part in my life, you know. And you too, Lisa, okay? Because I didn't really think that they would give me off of no probation, and I was totally afraid to come inside that probation building. But I was like, Mama, I called my mama. I was like, Mama, they gonna put me in jail. Mama, they gonna put me in jail. I was like, I just know they is. And she was like, should I tell you, you never did anything. Calm down. Just go through it. Just breathe and just go through it. Going to my mama for help and she being there for me. That even our relationship has changed, you know, because I realized that there's no book on parenting, and but I have to learn. I have to let it go, you know. And she's my mother, you know, so I can't love her and hate her at the same time. So I just chose to love her unconditionally, you know. And when I was out there homeless and stuff, I understood why she didn't let me in the house, you know, even though I still, it made me reflect back on when she sent me and my brother away to stay with the guy that was molesting me. But I was okay with it because I knew I wasn't mentally fit to be nowhere at that moment, you know, but where I was at. And until I was able to get some kind of help, you know. And the help, I'm just so grateful and forever, and you guys that, you know, for just giving me this opportunity to better my life and getting me on that right path to clear up the chaos that came from me not knowing exactly what was wrong with me, you know. And alcohol is just a symptom of my problem, which was trauma and PTSD and illnesses that come along with it, you know. Yeah, so like today, when I reflect back on what them emotions that I was feeling, it really actually started when Jay came into the house, you know, the nightmares and all of that stuff. So, and reoccurring nightmares, you know. So it all stems from when I was a kid. And then the gang rape, it just kind of, and my father passing, you know, because he was killed. He was taken abruptly. And I was a daddy's girl, you know. And so, but today life is great, you know. And I feel like NAMI can help out a whole lot of people like me who really wants it. You have your percentage of them that's just there just to get off probation or to try to get off, but you have people like me that really wants to understand how their mind works, you know, and the differences between schizophrenic and PTSD and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's a big difference on stuff. You know, it's a big difference on how you treat them. You know, and maybe next time they walk down the street and they see somebody talking to themselves or hitting themselves, they'll understand what that person is going through. You know, so that's all. That's all my story.
Well, thank you, Chaunta, for being so candid about your story. You know, it's that you've overcome a lot of significant issues in your life, and I'm glad to hear that you're able to move on now and give back to other people, because at least where I grow in what I do is not what I'm doing particularly, but what I see in other people being able to get on with their lives and be productive. I think that one of the things that a meeting that I was in one time is that one of the senior managers of behavioral health said, we just need to get these people the job. And I said, you know what? No, what we need to do is help them find a purpose. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs a purpose in life. You know, their purpose might be a job. It may not be, but purpose has got to come before everything else, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it looks like that you found a purpose in what you're doing now, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Lisa. And it's all about traumas and stuff like that. It was amazing, you know, and it's treatable. It can be, you can have a regular life and not always feel like the world is on your shoulders and you got to constantly look backwards. You know what I'm saying? I can look forward today, you know, and I enjoy it. You know, I'm enjoying life today a whole lot more better than I ever have. You know, even with having 13 and a half years clean, I was still on guard. Even with my kids, you know, I gave my kids everything just to keep them at home. You know, everybody came to my house because I was afraid to allow my kids to go out and something like that happening to them. And I knew if they was at home, couldn't nothing happen because I'm there, you know. And my mental status, if something like that was to happen to my kids, I really don't where it would have taken me, you know, and coming from the lifestyle that I lived, you know what I'm saying? So I'm more happier. I'm loving with my kids today. I can hug them and kiss them and tell them that they, you know, how proud I am of them, and you know how proud I am of them, and things that I never really, I can have a conversation with them, and they can I can listen to how my relapsing, and them seeing me going through what I was going through, you know, and I can be honest with them and let them know that you know, how sorry I am, you know what I'm saying? And my kids understand, you know. That's the awesome thing. Even my 11-year-old, he understands. He's like, Mom, it's okay. Mom, it's okay. You know, and man, that's what life to me is all about. You know, is seeing my kids just progress and me being able to help somebody else, you know.
I think from a mother standpoint, and I'm just going to join, and I know Joey, but I appreciated the part where you said you can't hate and love somebody at the same time. And that goes for kids. That goes for kids too. Once they understand, they can make that choice. I think you're helping them to get where they need to be to make that decision as well.
Right. Yeah. And it wasn't that I didn't like my kids. My kids, it was just that I protected them. I guarded them so hard. Only today can I see how, to the extent of my trauma reflected on how my parenting was on my kids, on my kids, I'm thinking that I'm protecting them and I'm doing something right, it's something other than what my mother did to me. I'm there for them, but I wasn't really there. I was just like that's what my daughter said. I was like a guard, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I also allowed them to do things, you know what I'm saying? But I just had to know who was going to be there, what was going to be happening, everything. And, yeah, and today I'm okay. I was scared to let my kids grow up because I knew I couldn't protect them after a certain age. Man, but my kids are amazing. They have been doing it, They have been doing it. My son he's going to college for welding and engineering. He's only 18. He's been working. He be telling me, Mama, I don't need nothing. I got it. What you need? Boy, I don't need nothing for you. And girls, they just awesome, man. They both on their own. I call her my mini-me. That's my Mikael. She's my baby girl. She has a lot of sensitivity like her mother, and yeah, but just watching them grow, and they growing in their own little ways, and then they be having their little well, especially the girls, they go head to head, they butt heads and stuff like that, but they love each other, and they there for each other, and that's all that counts to me. It's just seeing them trials and tribulations and then coming back together as one, I'm just enjoying them today. Yeah. Oh, I'm about to cry. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. My babies. I'm proud of my babies. Even my 11-year-old, he's taking up football. That's my favorite sport.
And the season started last night.
I know, right? Oh my goodness, right? Oh my goodness. Yes. He showed me his little helmet and his little what you call that thing he got on? I forget. But he got his little gear and I'm just so excited. I'm like, man, I wish I could be there, but what I can say today is that I'm there at, because they having a whole lot more they having a better chance at life, as far as being in California. Not saying that I don't love California, but being around here is a big influence on black males, young black men, to do the wrong thing. And so they're learning. They call me yes, ma'am. And I just got on and let them say it, but it's yes, ma'am. They open up the door for me. And they do this with all women, and then they hardworking and they learn. So I can't ask for nothing else better. And then my girls are California girls. They don't go too far from their mama, that's for sure, And them are my protectors, Yeah. So it's just been a blessing, man. And it's 3 organizations, Lifelong, La Familia, St. Vincent's, because they took all my mess, so I can't do nothing but give back to that place. And NAMI, did I say NAMI? Yeah. You guys really help sculpture the way I'm living, along with my recovery, of course, So, yeah. Thanks for that push.
Well, I'm glad things are working out for you, and I'm glad that that probation actually opened the door for NAMI. That probation actually opened the door for NAMI to come in and make some of our programming available so that we could complement what probation was trying to do in the first place, and that is help people that were on probation that had mental health challenges. So, you know, it seemed like everybody was working together on this. And I've been in so many projects and programs where people are working against each other, but this experience for me has been very rewarding in that we've been able to work together rather than working anyway.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add too, is that the eats, the food, the lunches and all that stuff, that was awesome too. You know, I mean, that will motivate me to go anywhere. If I know I'm about to get fed some good sandwiches and also the transportation, making sure the means of me getting there was awesome, you know, and it actually helped me to stay obligated to come. You know, it helped motivate me to come, and it gave me somewhere to go. You know, so I gradually got out into the world gradually. You know, not like at a fast pace, and I think that was another thing that helped. That was another thing that helped me out a lot. You know, honestly, just taking them few little trips on the BART. You know, having to catch a bus. Yeah, it helped me learn a lot about myself, you know, and that I can still do these things. You know, I didn't let it hold me back. Thanks. And that's it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. The food, I know the food was good. It motivated me to go a couple times too. Coffee and orange juice.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, and that's interesting that you bring something up. We would have had no idea that part of your trauma surrounded the wrong type of transportation, right? So a lot of barriers to overcome because, you know, you don't know everybody's story when you start out designing these projects. So
yeah, it was just like anywhere where anybody can get on and I don't have no control over it, you know. That's basically what it was. I even barricaded myself in my house, you know. All my furniture was against the wall, against the doors. Oh my goodness, yeah. I can laugh at it today because it's just amazing how far I'm, you know, and.
Oh yeah.
We've been partnering with the Alameda County Probation Department, as I mentioned earlier. And so Lisa Heinz has been overseeing the project. And what I'd like to do is introduce you to Lisa. She will tell you from her perspective how she felt the efficacy of our programs are in the criminal justice system. So Lisa?
Thanks, Joe. Again, my name is Lisa Heintz, and I am the liaison for clinical diversion and reentry programs for the Alameda County Probation Department, and have had the privilege of working with Joe over the last couple of years on this project. So as Joe was mentioning, the best thing about this program was the unique program location. We introduced peer-to-peer programs, and one of the criteria that we decided as a team was that it would be held at a probation office. Really important to make sure that we get rid of the stigma around law enforcement, since most of our clients need to be involved in that, and also provide services for them so that they began to build that trust relationship with the entire team. This was a huge success when measuring the necessary integration that we needed from the multiple stakeholders, to include program participants as the #1 stakeholder and client, Alameda County Probation, community-based organizations, and NAMI. And we came together as a team to overcome the stigma associated with holding the classes at the law enforcement entity, and to build the trust around letting everybody know that it wouldn't be a result of punitive actions. Again, amazing collaboration and outcomes. During the first class, wraparound financial services were provided to a client to prevent homelessness. Other community-based organizations within the building at Probation pitched in as well. We used Prop 47 grant funding and really learned to leverage our services for the benefit of the clients. Many of our organizations united to ensure service dollars were leveraged for the good of the mutual client that we all serve. Another outcome and as a basis of our amazing collaboration was that 2 probation clients completed the second class, went on to be trained as NAMI program leaders for our peer-to-peer program, participated in future programs, and it allowed them to earn their own income for teaching. And then 1 program participant specifically was able to use the NAMI experience to discharge successfully from her probation in front of a judge. Over 90% of participants attended outreach events, and 65 clients signed up to attend a future NAMI class as a result of that outreach effort. 24 clients showed up and 15 completed the NAMI classes. The impact the classes had on the individual participants is priceless. They remained out of jail, they were not hospitalized, and they received the full wraparound supportive services and NAMI educational classes necessary to improve their lives during this time. So in the evaluations, based on program evaluations by the participants and observations by probation and the community-based organization, the program participants' feedbacks during the evaluations, all of the program participants were able to manage their illness while they attended this NAMI course. And none of the program participants were known to be hospitalized or identified as having criminal justice encounters during the program period, which is huge for both their wellness and probation. Again, I can't thank Joe enough for being a part of probation and bringing this program to our clients, and just want to thank everybody.
Well, that concludes our presentation portion of this workshop. But before we get into Q&A, I would like to give you some contact information. As I mentioned earlier, we do not do self-reporting. We depend on the people that we do our services for to report back as to what they feel is the efficacy of our programming. And as such, we did this, funding was associated with this from a Kaiser Permanente Community Benefit Grant. And that grant results can be found on our website by going to namiacs.org/CJ for criminal justice /report-P2P+evals.pdf. Or you can use the QR code that's there on your screen to get directly to those reports. If you need some further information, you can contact me, Joe Rose. My cell phone number is area code 510-378-1578. And you can email me at info@namiacs.org. Okay, well, thank you very much again for attending the workshop, and we'll go into Q&A now to answer any other questions or any questions you may have associated with this project. As such, Lisa Heintz and Dante Wells will be joining me in the Q&A.
Thank you, panel, for an amazing presentation. And again, thank you, Ms. Chaunta, for your courage and sharing your journey with us all. There are a couple of Q&A questions. First one is, how can I better advocate for those in a criminal legal system as a student and trainee in mental health if I were to see someone in practice? Panel?
Yeah, happy to do so. I just think there's a lot of efforts right now in California, especially, and even nationwide, to look at law enforcement's role with the program participants. So I think one of the biggest things that I would recommend is that you reach out if they are involved in the criminal justice system at any juncture, that we start reaching out and having communication to make sure that we know that NAMI organizations are available to them. We're implementing a lot of diversion options now. Really understanding that just the enhanced trauma with regard to being involved in the criminal justice system is, obviously detrimental to the client's rehabilitation efforts. So I would just encourage anyone that's in the system to reach out. There's pretty much in all probation departments and in parole representatives who really want to help and make sure that we're diverting instead of exasperating this area. Joe, I don't know if you have anything to add. This was definitely an amazing experience, I think, for everybody. And Chaunta's, you're right, her bravery and her ability to be a leader in this program. She's kind of just the poster person for this as we move forward.
No, the only thing that I could add briefly is that there, in particular, Mental Health Advisory Board has committees, and if you can find a committee that you might want to go to and make your concerns available to them, there might be an opportunity to learn a little bit about what's going on in the county and being able to provide some feedback to the county through the Mental Health Advisory Board.
Thank you both. And I definitely vouch for, Alameda County Probation. They've worked very closely with us here in the Bay Area, with our PD and our multidisciplinary forensic team. And we know that they are very compassionate and very willing to work with our, populations that are struggling inside the criminal justice system. So we have time for a couple more questions. HIPAA and prison policy inhibit communication between the facility and family. How does this change? Panel?
Well, you smile. HIPAA has its purpose, but on the other hand, it does inhibit caregivers in particular of participating fully in the system. I don't know. I mean, HIPAA issues, we could go on and on about it. I'll let Lisa mention a little bit about that since we're talking about the criminal justice system. I can't speak for it. Is there anything you can add to that, Lisa?
Yeah, so HIPAA impacts everybody is very well, I think, on this panel of the negative implications. Of course, HIPAA is primarily the limitations for us describing. There's other privacy acts, and the intent of it was appropriate. I know that there's a lot of work being done both at the federal and the state level to try to overcome some of the negative impediments that HIPAA has, both with transitional case planning as well as with family members who may be willing to assist their participants, so long as we have the right release of information. So I would just hope, my professional opinion and personal opinion is, I think just the more that groups like NAMI and all of us are on the same page advocating for the same right purpose, that we will be able to break down some of those barriers to transition services. But case planning for this population should have a little bit more flexibility with some of the level of care transition handoffs that we have and some other things. So I just think a unified voice, and if everybody understands the importance of shared information for the right purposes and for no punitive actions, I think we'll be moving along, hopefully in California as much as possible with just a unified voice.
Thank you. Another question, and this question came in. I am wondering how many licensed clinicians would favor a cahoots type mobile mental health crisis team with social workers instead of licensed clinicians working in the criminal justice system.
So again, this is outside of the NAMI programming per se. So again, I don't know if Lisa, I know you're familiar a little bit with the cahoots program. Is that something that you could respond to?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit. Obviously, I think it's going to take every opportunity that we have to intervene for this population. I think it's just important that we look at all resources, and probably the most important thing from my experience has been that we leverage resources so that we're actually working together for the same cause. I think that's the most important thing as we move forward. Yes, to any intervention that prevents populations who may be decompensating from going into a jail or prison system. You need diversion options. I know Alameda County specifically, we've been working with the living room model and a few other things nationwide. So I would just say, yes, continue to, explore all avenues that are going to help our population be more successful.
I agree.
If I
100%.
can just add a little bit to that. Yeah. I couldn't find people that were on probation. So we worked with Boss, Bax, and La Familia. And all three of those CBOs have reentry contracts with the county. And so what we did was we went to those three CBOs and asked if we could do presentations on presenting our program to them and see if there was anybody interested in it. So as Lisa said, it's just not NAMI now. We need to partner with lots of other organizations because we each have certain things to bring to the table. And if we can work together on those things, then I think that we can make some progress, HIPAA included, going forward on this here. So I'm hoping that we can work with people that if they're interested in getting a more comprehensive video on this, that we can accommodate them.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Lisa. It's been a pleasure to listen to you and also Chaunta's story. Absolutely, we appreciate all of the members and those that participated in this workshop. So thank you, everybody, and stay tuned.